everyone, this is Kate Byars. Welcome to the Success Without Sacrifice show. Today we are talking about the 3 reasons successful women will implode their careers. Stay tuned. Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. This is Kate, and today we are talking about the 3 reasons every successful woman needs to understand to avoid imploding your career, burning out, and walking away. So I don't know if you are a successful woman who probably your life looks pretty good on paper, right? Other people are wanting what you've achieved. You might have a great income, the house, the car, the kids, the whatever it is for you, that success on paper is what you have. And maybe you've worked with executive coaches. Maybe you've been to all sorts of leadership programs. Maybe you've even worked with a therapist. That's pretty common, right? And you're still feeling like your success owns you instead of you owning your success, then this show you will want to tune into. So I just want to say welcome to Jadine Cleary. She is our Director of Performance Coaching. Jadine has this amazing background. She comes from the world of competitive sport, where she's coached at World Championships, the Olympics, and she's also worked for years at the White House. So she understands high performers. Jadine, welcome. It's good to do another show together.
Thank you, Kate. Yeah, I love doing these shows with you. And I'm excited for this particular topic, Kate, because I know what you're going to share today is actually quite counterintuitive for most of us as high performers. And when we learn how to live this framework you're going to share with us, it's so freeing.
Yes. And let's talk about freedom for a minute, because I think what a lot of us women are experiencing is we know that we love our careers. We know that our careers are important to us. It is a big piece of our life, and there's nothing wrong with that, okay? But what we're really talking about is how do you start enjoying your career and your life? Because what happens is our career is so omnipresent that then our private life, taking care of our health, spending time with people we love become like these little snippets of happiness. You know, it's like, oh, that was a nice hour on a Saturday afternoon. Oh my gosh, Sunday lunch was lovely. But we're never feeling just at peace and just feeling like we can revel in our private lives because we're always sort of on revving our engines, even if it's on a low gear, just trying to get ready for Monday or get ready for the next presentation or get ready for the next big whatever it is. And what we're talking about is how do you get to a point where your career can be significant? It can be outstanding. You can be whatever it is you want to be in your career, but you can also have an incredible, incredible personal life. Quick story before I jump in, because I want you all to understand these three points today. We had a wonderful client, Natalie. She's from Quebec. I can't remember now. Yeah, she's from Quebec, right? And she got on the phone with me a few years ago, and she was like, "Kate, you know what? I've got this C-suite looming. Like they're offering me the top spot." And I was like, "Okay, so what's the problem?" She's like, "I don't know. Like, I'm getting to a point where my husband's retired. We have this dairy farm. Maybe I should just go be on the dairy farm with him. Like I'm tired." Like this is a lot. Am I in a season of my life to step further in and lean in, or should I just go rest? Well, we started working with her, showed her how she could have a really amazing private life and be in the top spot with all the pressure and all that comes. And she had to lead her company through COVID. Well, she just recently took on that top spot. And guess where the very first executive team meeting is going to be with her executive team? At the dairy farm. And that's just such a lovely, very visual representation of how it doesn't have to be an ugly trade-off. Okay, so the very first thing you must identify with and you must overcome is scarcity. This is part of what we always talk about, taming or retraining your DNA. High achieving women, we are known for having a lot of scarcity, and it's such a shame. It is such a shame. Like we have worked so hard for this compensation that we're getting, and what do? We spend money on other people, but when it comes to ourselves, we won't spend money. And it's not just about money, but let me give you a couple of examples. When I was first promoted to my very first executive role, I went out and bought a little splurge. I bought this leather club chair that felt like, so indulgent. You know what I'm saying? And after that, that was it. And to the point where, I would shop at high-end luxury, stores but only on the clearance rack, right? You can't pay full price. That was conditioned in me. Okay. Or I remember one time the inside of my house, I wanted to change the color of my living room and I had these huge vaulted, like 20-foot, whatever ceilings. So did I call a paint company and say, hey, I'd like to have you come paint my home for me? No. I went to Home Depot, rented scaffolding. I kid you not. Now at this point, I'm traveling all over the world. I'm a single mom. I have very little personal time. I had no business renting scaffolding to paint my own house. And I'm on the phone with my dad going, yeah, I'm going to be late for Thanksgiving lunch because I've just got to get the scaffolding back to Home Depot so I don't have to pay a penalty for late return. I mean, hello. Talk about scarcity. And this wasn't because I was cheap or it was because I had been conditioned from a very young age that, look, if you can do something yourself, don't you dare pay for it. You should be able to figure it out. And think about it, even in our roles, we're told, don't you come with a problem, you come with a solution. And this scarcity thinking isn't just money, but that's a big piece of it. And so I cannot tell you how many women we work with who make, 200, 300, 400, $500,000, and they don't even have someone cleaning their house for them because, they can dust. And it's not about, whether you're capable of dusting or not, or it's beneath you. It has nothing to do with any of that egocentric stuff. It's just, is this the best use of your time right now? Like, you need to be a refreshed person, a refreshed executive, or a refreshed doctor who is ready to put your time and energy into the things that really matter, not necessarily dusting your house, right? But it also comes in scarcity thinking with fear of missing out. FOMO is huge for high achievers. If we're not on the airplane at every single meeting, inside every single conversation, picking up the phone when somebody pings us, what did I miss out? Instead of realizing that you're not in this constant competition. There's more than enough for everyone. If you miss out on knowing a piece of data, you can call the next day and get it. It's not going to make you irrelevant. And so the longer we cling to the scarcity thinking, and believe me, we have all the reasons in the world, ladies. I will tell you, I have a strong work ethic. That was my excuse, right? How many of you use that one? You know it, right? Oh, I'm from the Midwest. Yeah, I grew up in a family where you've got to get things done and, always be working and always getting things done. That was my excuse. So my point being is that we color over these beliefs because we say, well, this is just how I am. I'm kind of cheap sometimes. Ha 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 ha. Instead of going, yeah, but is that working for me? Is that really leaving me to my best life? Is that how I'm investing in my career by making my life so much harder for myself that I'm depleting myself and I can't even show up as my best self? And that is why we hit a wall, because eventually what happens is your body has had enough, your mind has had enough, and it's like, bye-bye. But what's interesting is when we actually teach women and you actually start putting up boundaries around and having abundance thinking and not fearing failure and fearing losing out or fearing spending money on yourself, instead of seeing it indulgent, seeing it as an investment in being who you are, then what happens is actually life gets really good and you get more opportunities, and people don't see that. The money doesn't go away. You're not using resources for your retirement. You're actually building a resourceful life.
Well, I love that phrase, building a resourceful life, Kate, because that's something we all want to lean into. To your point earlier, we often were building our career and then we're living our life in the cracks. And that's not sustainable. And it's not actually protecting our ability to be potent and powerful. And so what we tend to believe is that if I'm not there all the time, so to your point about FOMO, then I'm decreasing my value. But actually the opposite is true. If you're there all the time and you're seen as the workhorse and you're not bringing distinctive value, then that's not like representing your value. So most of the women who learn to work with us and learn how to recognize their value and learn how to protect it, paradoxically, within about 6 months, 40% of them are earning 20 to 30% more. They've actually received a raise because what's happened is how they're adding value is that much more evident, because when they show up, they actually have the brain space and the emotional bandwidth to look around the room and to see what needs to get done versus what doesn't need to get done. And they don't take everything on.
Ooh, yes. And isn't that crazy for everyone listening? Like, it sounds so counterintuitive. Like, you're going to work less and earn more. And it's like, yes, because that's how valuable you've become and that's what your time is worth. And you have to understand how to do that. And so if you have scarcity thinking, that is going to destroy the ability for others to see you as high value, because you're not even representing that value. I mean, if you can't go out and get yourself a manicure or get someone to help you out in the house, and I'm not saying that we all need to go get housekeepers. That's not the goal here. That's just a very easy example to illustrate the point. It can be like a lot of times we see with those that we work with in the medical community, doctors who are making $500,000 a year as these world-class surgeons, and they're driving, 15-year-old like Chevys, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, go get something that actually is going to get you safely to the operating room. And all of this is conditioning and feeling like deep down, we're not as valuable as others think. Right? And so it's like, well, if I was really valuable, or it's arrogant for me to go out and buy a Mercedes or whatever. And again, it doesn't matter what kind of car you drive, ladies. I'm just saying, as we have such scarcity, you want to be investing in things that bring you value in your life. And if that happens to be a Mercedes and you're like, I love Mercedes and they're so amazing and it brings me joy every single time I get in a Mercedes, go buy a Mercedes if that's something you want. But we hold all that in some sort of scarcity mode that we have to suffer because that's what we've been taught, and you have to break free from that. Now, again, I'm not saying everyone should just go buy diamond tiaras and run up your credit card bill like crazy. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, are you investing in those things that give you well-being in life, that bring joy into your life, that give you that satiation of I'm enjoying my life now versus I'm kicking it down the road, right? Because if you're holding on to things too tightly and you have scarcity, then that leads to burnout. Now, the second thing that implodes your career, ladies, is putting your needs last. And you have to understand that biologically, we are designed to get our needs met. If we don't get our needs met, we shut down and cannot survive. So most of us are getting our needs met because you're alive. So if you're listening to this broadcast, congratulations, you're getting your needs met. But now what you have to start asking yourself is, am I getting them met effectively? And am I getting them met effectively for a woman who wants to have a big career and a big life? Because that's going to be different than what average Jane's going to do. Does that make sense? And so are you effectively getting your needs met? Do you know how to operate in peak performance? Do you understand how to stop this all or nothing thinking where you're going to hold your breath, work as hard as you can, collapse on the weekend, try to get a few hours extra sleep, and then get back to work on Monday? Like, that is not what a high performance athlete does. That is not what someone top of the game does if you want to stay there. Now, if you only want to work at the top of your game for a short period of time and you want to invite that burnout, then be my guest. But that's not why you're listening to this broadcast. You're tired of the burnout. You're tired of the overwhelm. You're tired of operating on empty. So you have to understand very, very clearly how to get your needs met. You have to understand what you need, what is going to give you the emotional and psychological effect that you're looking for. And if you don't understand that, what happens is we run around just like trying to do stuff to feel better. Like, there's been times before I understood how to get my human needs met where I would, let's just say, spend all day Saturday with my kids. And instead of feeling joy and fulfilled and like, oh my gosh, that was such an amazing day, I was like, that was exhausting. I fought with my kids all day. I hated every minute of it. And then you feel guilty because you snipped at your kids all day on a Saturday. Well, the problem is that wasn't what you really needed. Maybe you needed half a day with your kids or just an hour with your kids, or you needed to weave in some autonomy and some rest and different things throughout the day so that you could really have what you're looking for, which is that energy boost and feeling connection and feeling fulfillment. And if you don't understand how to do that, what's going to happen is you're going to continue to live your life as society has taught. And that is not a recipe for someone who's successful, because what society has said is go to work, make a lot of money, get a big title, and then you'll be happy. And no one's telling you how. And I'm telling you how. You have to understand how to biologically get your needs met. And you can't just do it through shopping therapy. Wine's not going to cut it. Binging on Netflix. We've all been there, ladies. Like, that is not, those are strategies to get your needs met, but they're ineffective. And that's why you're starting to run down, is because you're not giving your body what it really needs to operate at peak performance and feel great about your life. You should be feeling great about your life, right?
Yeah. we do want to be feeling great about our life, and we want to be able to enjoy our lives now. And Kate, what you talked about is being able to understand truly what we need. And we need to understand how to get to the core of that, because otherwise all of these strategies are just surface strategies and they're not fulfilling. Even if we were to go get a housekeeper, even if we were to go, have somebody paint our house, we need to understand deep down, what does that connect to as a biological need? So at the retreat we were just at, so we did a beautiful retreat in Florida, and the title of the retreat was Yacht Life. So we were working with our executive women on what does their life on the yacht look like for them. And one of our key clientele, she's beautiful, she's been with us forever. I'm going to call her Samantha. So Samantha had said, you know what, Kate and Jadine, my dream is to have a lake house. And the coaching question was, okay, well, what does your life house represent? And she's like, I want to be connection. I want to just have time with my family. I want to be able to go to the lake house. I want to be able to work really hard and then escape to the lake house so I can actually live my life. And as we dug deeper, we started to unpeel and unpack for her what the lake house represented was escape for her. And
Yes.
why did she need escape? Because she was so tired of carrying the load for everyone around her. And if she didn't figure that out, guess what was going to happen? She was going to think that the lake house was her dream. She'd work even harder for that dream and exhaust herself. Then she'd get to the lake house, which she would have built herself and everything, and then still been exhausted because it wasn't actually tapping into her true need. So through more revelation, what she discovered was the true need she had was to actually feel cared for.
Absolutely. And that's a biological need, which is autonomy, personal and social freedom. Like, we need to believe and understand that we want to be surrounded by like-minded people. So if I'm someone who enjoys caring for people, but I'm hanging out with people, or I'm setting a standard for those around me that they don't have to care for me, or they're not people who like to care for people, I am going to at some point feel such dissonance with them that it's going to stress me out, because I'm going to be the one caring for everyone else. And then I'm going to get resentful and go, why don't you care for me? Well, see you. I'm going to go live in my beach house or my lake house. Bye. And we escape our lives, ladies. And that's great. We all need a getaway every now and then. That's fine.
Exactly.
But it's different if you're escaping your life versus I'm going to actually have some solace, and I'm going to go have some time alone, and I'm going to go do some thinking, or I'm going to go tuck away with my family in this lovely lake house. There's nothing wrong with that. It's when you buy the lake house to solve a problem that's not the real problem, right? We see this a lot where a lot of times people will have, this is another really common thing where people don't understand their biological needs. Like, have you ever seen couples who are stressed and strained in their marriage, and then they decide to have a baby? Oh, if we had a baby, that'll fix it. And for those of you who have a healthy relationship, you're like, oh, no, children do not help fix a marriage. Children add more strain to a marriage or relationship. But you can see how someone might think that. It's just ineffective. And then it's very sad, because then they have the baby, and then, a couple of years later, the marriage dissolves. Or we've had clients who have bought homes, and they're like, oh, I just need a different house. Well, and it's like, well, why? Oh gosh, well, if we had this house, there's going to be, I don't know, it's in a great neighborhood for the kids, and we can have parties and have people over, and it'll be so much easier because the house is bigger to separate the mess and all those things. Sounds great, right? And then they buy the big house on the new neighborhood, and they're just as unhappy. And it's like, well, what's going on? Why did you buy the house? Oh, well, I just thought once I moved here that my family would get along. And I thought I'd have friends because the neighbors would come over. And so really what they wanted was connection. And so if you don't understand that, you go out and you do something to sort of address this problem in your life that you're feeling, and you've chosen the wrong strategy. It's not even right or wrong. It's just less effective, right? It's not really what you needed. You could have stayed in the same house or bought a new house. Who cares? But really focused on what is the need that you need. So for those of you who are hyper successful and you're working 60, 78 hours a week, how much autonomy are you getting throughout your day? Are you building that in? I don't mean an hour to go to lunch to get your nails done. I don't think I've ever had a manicure. I don't have time for that. It's not what we're talking about, ladies. But you know what? I can get my autonomy need met in small amounts throughout the day. Sometimes I might take an afternoon off, and that's fine too. It doesn't matter, but I know what I need. I know how to get it met, but maybe it's not autonomy. Maybe what I need is rest. And what I really need to do is shut down my computer, shut down my commitments, and really get rest, or go to bed early and get a great night's sleep instead of pushing through and pushing through. And this really leads me into the third thing that implodes our careers, ladies, is the reason so many women who are successful are folding, what is it, throwing in their cards or folding, and walking away, is that they're not understanding how to resource yourself. And women, we suck at resourcing ourselves. Let me tell you, almost like that story Jadine was just sharing with us, we have to recognize that we are a bit of a different breed, and that's okay, right? We get to be around, and we should be around people who are like us. And one of the things I see over and over and over again in all of the groups of women we work with is like, oh gosh, I feel so alone in my home life because maybe my partner, my husband or wife or partner doesn't get me because they're not in the high pressure world I'm in. And that can feel very isolating. Or maybe it's, I go to, I don't know, the school PTA meeting or the play date with my kiddos, and all of the moms, they have jobs, but not like at my level. And so they're talking about things that I can't relate to because I'm not, and so we feel very isolated. And then we go home to see our families, and then our families have some sort of criticism or whatever. And all of a sudden, all of these things start chipping away at your ability to really be emotionally and psychologically thriving. Does that make sense? And I'm not saying we can all just like divorce every single person in our life and get rid of anyone who's different than us, but you have to know how to resource yourself. Where is your energy going to be built up? With people who are like you, who understand you. If all you're doing is hanging out in communities where people are sucking from you and need your energy, you're the shoulder they lean on. You're the person that has to be strong with all the answers. You're the person who has to change who you are so as not to step on any toes or make people feel bad about themselves. Like that psychologically is so draining. And I did that for so long in my life because I felt guilty and I was supposed to be the nice girl. And, and I felt like maybe I was kind of, too assertive and mean, and shouldn't I, and it's like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with hanging out with people who are different than you and being gracious about that. But if that's where you're spending the majority of your time, forget it. And women, it's kind of odd, Jadine. Like what I find, and I did this for a long time too, we are so committed to our careers are owning us, but then we're going to our career, our job, to ask permission to invest in areas of our life. Like, well, unless my company, sends me to a leadership class or, my insurance pays for a therapist, then I guess I'm just out of luck. And it's like, oh my God, really? Like women do not see themselves as an independent entity that is valuable, that invests in a high quality life. And that to me took me a long time to get, because again, I grew up in a family, like my dad would be like, why are you buying strawberries at the store? Those are way too expensive. Apples, 69 cents for a bushel, $4.99 for a pint of strawberries. Like there was a lot of shame around, me investing in things that brought me joy, investing in things that brought me well-being. You don't go to a gym and hire some trainer. You just go work out in the garage or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like everything was scarcity, scarcity, scarcity. And I did not realize the value of putting myself in a room with other people who think like me. Right? I just thought I was a black sheep.
Yeah. And that's the societal support of change. When you can actually be with other women who understand you and get you, it gives you permission to make the changes that you want to make, but you've been conditioned to do otherwise. And I was just having this conversation with a couple of women in our cohort last week. And one of the women actually wanted to hire an au pair and a cook, but her mother-in-law was shaming her because, well, I didn't do that. I had a big career and I still made it home to be able to make dinner. And I'm sure you can too. And so she was, our client was caught between wanting to please her mother-in-law, which can be an awkward relationship, and also wanting to honor how she wanted to live her life, because she actually wanted somebody else to take care of those things. So she had the energy to tuck her kids in at night and to actually read them a bedtime story and not be snipping at them to stop talking so they could go to sleep. So when she brought this situation up to her cohort was able to lean in and say, you know what, we totally understand that. We've been there too. Have you considered this? So she actually got the support to make the change and go against, to your point, her conditioning and the conditioning she was still receiving in order to lean into the big, bold life she wants to lean into so she can be potent in her life and potent in her career.
I bet. I love that. And this is tough, ladies. You know, for example, my husband's someone who always had a career, but it's not like a big, huge piece of his life. Do you know what I'm saying? He's just like, yeah, this is my career. It's great. I like it. And so it's hard sometimes when you have to even say to someone who you may love dearly and who dearly loves you, I don't think you get me, and I need something different than what you can give. And it's not because I don't love you. I'm doing this because I love you, because you don't understand me. I feel misunderstood. Then I feel shame about feeling this way, or I feel bad, like I'm not being a great wife or partner. And this keeps coming up over and over and over again in our marriage, why I put so much effort into my career and not enough into our marriage or into our family or into my health or whatever. And sometimes just being in the room with people who get you, but also who can support you to get where you want to be, which is a well-balanced, highly successful life, is important. I mean, I would imagine, Jadine, like if I'm going for an Olympic medal, I'm probably not hanging out with people who hang out at like fast food restaurants. You know, I'm probably surrounding myself with people who they're going for medals as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. In fact, you seek those people out. You seek out your world-class community who will help support you. And you don't need the support when it's easy. You need the support when it's hard.
All right, so let's wrap the episode right there. Ladies, if success is controlling you, right? If your career is controlling your life and you are sick and tired of not being able to enjoy your success, of not being able to be healthy and fit and feel great in your skin, of not being able to have the preciousness of just enjoying quiet moments with the people you love, look, come on, ladies, like the way we're working is not working. And I want to invite you onto a call with someone from our team, one of our coaches. I want you to go to goodlifeinstitute.org/call. And on that phone call, we're going to review with you what is working, what is not, what is possible for you based on your specific situation. It's a completely confidential call with a third-party expert who absolutely is going to be great at listening. They don't need anything from you other than to listen and let you know what's going on so you have certainty of what direction to go and what the possibilities are. It's priceless. Over and over again, women we talk to, they're like, oh my gosh, this is like the best, 45 minutes to an hour I've spent on my career in the longest time. So go to goodlifeinstitute.org/call. There'll be a calendar that pops up. Pick a time that works for your schedule. Get it booked now before you put this off again, and we will meet you there on that call, and it'll just be our privilege to chat with you. Again, if it works out that it makes sense for us to work together, cool. If not, we've got a whole host of resources that we could send to your way as well. So either way, book the call, make the time. Let's chat about how you can enjoy success without sacrifice. And I will see you at the next show. Bye. Hi, thanks for tuning into today's show. If you want to subscribe, you can do that by clicking the little picture of me over there. If you want to book a breakthrough call, which you absolutely should do, you can click the button below or go to goodlifeinstitute.org/call to book an appointment to speak to us. I'll see you on the next